Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I'm going to share with you a clip from a recent live event where myself and Tails from the CryptMancer are going to discuss my land preparations. He's really going to point me to a place where I'm going to recognize how woefully prepared I am, but we're going to share a bit of optimism around how important we think this moment is, and you're going to see a bit of glimpse about where my plans are at. So if that sounds interesting, stick around, stay tuned, like and subscribe, and be sure to check out Tails' channel. Links are in the description. Have an amazing day. God bless. Any other comments or topics that you want to get into there, Tails?
No, I mean, this has been a great conversation. We didn't even get into land strategy and planning yet.
That's right.
Which is a whole other thing, because I know you were looking at what you're going to do with your 20.
That's right.
Land.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to go into that today or not.
I would love to, if at least like 15 minutes or so, if we could even just graze the surface, because I need to get my head around this, to be honest, and I'm not ready. I just sold. With respect to land, I definitely want to have a solidified plan, and I know my time's running out, and I know it's going to be on Mav server soon-ish, and so I want to be equipped and prepared as best I can. I'm not there yet. I have 580,000 SPS. Today I just sold a title. I sold one of my gambler titles. That's the Splinterfest title. I got two of them because I brought my buddy. I paid for his account, his attendance. So I got two of the gambler titles, and I sold one, and I sold another title, my Scorcher title. So I have 576,000 DC, and that's entirely from title sales in the last week or two. I needed probably double that. If I only have this amount, these are my lands here in front of me: common, rare. I have 4 epics, 8-ish rares. I have a couple magicals, 3 magicals. I want to launch it really well, but that doesn't mean 50,000 DC on every plot necessarily. Are you thinking, Tails, that you are going to go, you got 200 plots, you said yes, you want to go hard. Does that mean 50,000 DC on every plot, or does that mean something more like, 12,000 on a good number of them, and yet that's still a pretty good launch? What does that look like or feel like for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's a ton of ways to skin this cat, and it really comes down to your budget and the number of plots of land you have, because it's going to dictate what's your budget for staking DC on land. What's your budget for card acquisition? What types of cards should you target? Gold foil, regular foil, Chaos Legion, betas, what have you. And it is. I mean, wow, it's complicated. Mm-hmm. What I can say is, I would do a mapping of your cards. You can export from Peak Monsters your decks to an Excel spreadsheet as an example. And what I did initially is, I basically said, I want to have a playing deck still. So I want to have a deck that can still compete in, let's say, Champion. So I had to basically earmark what cards I needed to that deck successful and still work.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, I've set these aside to play. What do I have left over, right? And what does it mean to land for elements and bonuses and DEC requirements? And I started mapping my cards in my collection to land based on the element bonuses, based on my priority of what I was prioritizing. It's keeps or legendaries or occupieds or commons or naturals or research, land, etc. Once you start doing the exercise of mapping the cards to your land priority, you can start to generate calculations around production points and then grain requirements and balancing of, do I have grain? Do I need to buy grain? Do I need to make grain? What is that balance of production points to SPS or keeps or research to grain look like? Do I have did I purchase time vaults? Do I have time crystals to clear the land? Because many people don't understand the time it takes to clear even a common plot of land based on the production points that you have.
Yep.
What does that mean? Do you have a strategy where I have like a neutral, high PP neutral team that just goes in and clears land for me every 3 or 4 days? Was the cooldown associated with that? So there's just the complexity and the planning here is quite a lot.
Yeah, it really is.
The first question I would ask, for you, because you mentioned you want to get online quickly, is do you have time crystals, and if so, how many do you have? And have you looked at how much that would clear, on day one, and how much it would cost if you wanted to buy more?
I have 2,700 time crystals.
Okay.
And I did look at this briefly. I know that if I go over to,
It's 150, I think, or excuse me, 10,000 PP per time crystal is what it'll clear, I believe.
yeah. Let's see. Time crystals, terrain preferences, clearing plots. So a common natural, 1.5 million required. 1.5 million, right? Is that right? Am I reading that right? Yeah.
Yep, 1.5 million, and it's like 10,000 per time crystal.
That's right.
It gives you.
Time crystals. And yeah, 100 DC will, hang on. So 1.5 million PP, which is that amount of PP that will clear a common natural, is going to require 150 time crystals. So if I just even look at my commons, I think if we go 150, I can do 18 commons is what I have the time crystals for, essentially, which means I need more. Just very quickly, I could look more deep into that, because it's not just, I have 3 epics or something like that, clearing plots.
It's significantly more. And if you have magical,
I think I have one.
It's significant.
Exactly. And it starts to get real. It doesn't grow a little bit. Like epic natural is a little bit bigger, but epic magical is 4 times bigger than that common I talked about. I don't have any occupieds, which are the really crazy ones. But this is, I don't want to veer all way back into tokenomics, but interesting to note how many DC that time crystal sales could account for if land launches well. I just want to leave that in a little nut, like lying there on the side of the road. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm ready. Maybe time crystals wise, I'm ready for about half of my plots, and I'm happy to buy some. I bet I'm going to end up using, I don't have a lot of extra crypto right now. So unless I sell a card or something that I have lying around, I suspect I'm going to end up doing something like, 12,000 PP on a good chunk of my plots of land instead of the 50,000. I might be wrong about the numbers. I know there's the DC staking commitment, and I know 50,000 DC staked in a plot of land is like the maximum that I guess you can on a regular plot of land. But then I don't think that ties directly to production points, does it?
Yeah. There's a lot. So I would recommend, if you haven't listened to it, Gathering the Magic has a really good video talking about budget options for land. Not necessarily you look at budget options, but he goes into some examples, for example, gold foils or legendaries and stuff, and how, because it's a percentage of the DCX to level is what generates the cost of the DEC stake requirement. So certain mathematical types of cards and levels and BCX lend itself to a good balance of production points versus cost of cards versus cost of DEC staking.
Gotcha.
So you can definitely min-max that, and you'll see in that some examples. It's like 15 regular foil epics versus like 8 gold foil rares, or whatever. I mean, there's different breakpoints and targets depending what's the best cost ratio that you want to get to. Now, when you do that, you have to also take into account that your production are not going to be ideal either. His example walks you through how do you maximize cost to production points. Now, if your budget for land is such where you're like, hey, cost be damned, I just want the highest production points possible, well, that's a different equation, that's a different calculation, different strategy.
Yeah.
So all ties back into what's your budget? What is your budget for cards, for DEC, for time crystals? What's your target for production points? Are you farming SPS? Are you farming grain? Are you buying grain? So land is very complicated. And this is only land 1.5. This is not buildings or resources or liquidity pools. So it's you could so as a content creator here, Dwayne, this is like a sweet spot for a lot of content if you're ever into go down
Yeah.
this rabbit hole because there's just a ton here.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's so, like, you just scraped the surface there. And if someone's listening to the words you just said, like, there's about 5 different considerations at least. You know, do you want the best for the least it costs? Is the sky the limit for your cost? Because that's not just DC, but it's actually time crystals also. And then it's the cards that you can utilize. And for me, I think as I look at my land plots available, the rarities present, I only have 6 commons. And then at most of them are rare. I'm going to be spending a ton on the time crystals. I'm going to need a lot more time crystals, first of all. Maybe double the time crystals I currently have. I need probably double the DC I currently have. My card value, my deck of cards is probably adequate just for my gold foils. I don't need my gold foils. Now, I want some of my gold foils for my rank play and my tournament experience, etc. But I don't need them. I have 2.3 million collection power, 620,000 production points available in my gold foils. Again, I don't know how many PP I'll need per plot, and some will be less and some will be more. I don't know if that's going to be enough or not, to be honest. I need to dive deeper into this, is I guess what I'm, and I've known that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will check out gathering.
It's very interesting. And what I can say is you're not alone. I've had a number of people approach me and say, Tails, you know, what do I do here? I mean, this is so complicated. And what I can say is I've actually, you know, sat down and done full analysis of this. You know, someone gives me a budget, someone gives me their cards, their land, and I'll spit out basically a recommendation and a strategy for them.
Mm-hmm.
I have to charge for that just because it takes time to do all that. But, you know, there's a lot here. Mm-hmm. There is a method to the madness. And, it is quite complicated. But the good news is, you know, if you spend the time and you focus on it, you can definitely with a great plan. But as you dive into it in your sleeves, you're going to see that there's, if you think the battle helper discussion is nuanced and complex, it's got nothing on strategy. So.
Mm-hmm. See, I feel like this is a good place to land because for all the, let's say, serious contemplation of some of the difficult things in front of us, we are now both smiling, thinking about the complexity and the nuance and the thoughtfulness required with launching your plots of land well, which bodes really well, because I've seen Aftersound, Gathering, yourself, myself, Gank, Keys, everyone who covers this has brought the same sense of, ooh, this is deep, this is real, this is serious, I gotta figure this out. I don't know if there's a sense of overwhelm, but there's also a sense of excitement, which to me points me back to a place of confidence that there really will be a satisfying experience coming with LAN 1.5 and more so with 2.0, but 1.5 will get something meaningful. There's a lot here, man. Like, you know, clearing the land, choosing the right monsters, doing it so effectively. It could have real strong ramifications for DEC and therefore SPS. Card market might be dried up because of it. So there's a lot of interesting what ifs, and there's a lot of complexity, a lot of meat on the bones with something like this. And so it's almost a nice place to maybe wrap, because it feels like it's a bit of optimism, because it does point us to a place of excitement. Don't you think?
I mean, you know, regardless of what happens, the percentage of land that is basically started and how that affects DEC and SPS, at the end of the day, for me as a personal player in Splinterlands, you know, I've done my research, I'll put my into action, and you know, per my land videos, I talk about like day 2 land strategy. It's not just all the prep, the plan, essentially enjoyment game plan thus far for land, but it's what happens once land goes live. So how do you react to that? What do you do next? How does your strategy change or morph? For, you know, how do you proceed with land? That's the part of the game that's going to put a smile on many of our faces moving forward. And that's regardless of if land is financially a success or a flop. It doesn't really matter because at this point, whether it does well or not, I'm still playing it, right? It's not like I'm all of a sudden going to sell all my cards and say I'm out. I'm taking my home. It's like, no, here, but in the meantime, I'm going to play the game. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I feel like I said this, but I just want to reiterate. I think that this bodes well. We've admitted this is a pivotal moment for our game, and we've wondered, and we are still wondering, will it go where we want it to? That can't be decided today. We need to get our hands on it. But I like that I hear a little bit of a laugh in your voice as you describe it. There's a bit of joy as you talk about the complexity here. And that's good. And I feel the same way. And so that that's not the end of the story, but I like that that's where we are at right now. And Tails, just thanks so much for coming by today. Yeah, anything you want to say? Just take some time here.
No, it's been a great conversation, Dwayne. I really appreciate you scheduling this and getting this on our calendars. And yeah, I mean, always a pleasure to talk to you and talk shop with Splinter. Couldn't think of a better way to spend my afternoon here today, and really appreciate it. So thanks for the opportunity, and let's do it again soon.
Amazing. Yep. Thanks, man. And guys, I just hope you have an amazing day. God bless.